Hello everybody, so Chance has been talking about making threats against John and Willem Gloryhole once again, and he decides to bring out his AI companion, Nova. Not Nova Online, don't get confused with that. Nova is this AI companion that Cyraxx has been using as of recently, and he primarily uses it to explain law or certain subjects that are just too complicated for him to explain properly. But what he has against John is some kind of weird, super secret information. Maybe Cyraxx will come up with those 12 lawyers from Nintendo. Who knows? But I digress. Let's go ahead and get started with this AI video he's got for us here.
You just don't get it yet, do you, Johnny boy? You really don't get it yet, do you, kid? It's over for you, John. I'm on to you, and I know what you're trying to do, and it's not gonna fucking work. I see your whole little scheme. You're trying to pin me for your brother's death when you're himself like a fucking idiot. That ain't on me. I don't have any connections to druggies like that. Now, you, on the other hand, you might. Matter of fact, how do we know that it wasn't you, that motherfucker? I mean, we all saw you on live stream smoking up that weed, which, by the way, is illegal down where you're at.
So right off the bat, we're at a terrible start because Cyraxx is talking smack about Marty, and that is just awful, I gotta say, but it's not uncommon about Chance. But you can hear his hatred for John and Marty in that statement, that Marty game-edited himself and that's his fault, in which, you know, that's terrible, and drug addiction is awful. Everybody knows that, but Chance doesn't understand the complexities of such a subject, and plus he still believes that John is Marty's brother. I still have no idea why he believes that. I guess John said it, made the claim, and Cyraxx just believes it all of a sudden. But then on top of that, it's also hypocritical about Cyraxx talking about drug addicts whenever Sally and Ed have taken perk 30s more times than once. Hell, it's common belief that Cyraxx himself is drugged with alcohol and various other substances that we probably don't even know about. However, let's get back to it.
You know what they say? The one that usually points the finger like that is usually the one that's guilty. And you're doing a lot of finger pointing, my guy. All I'm doing is calling shit out as I see it. Oh, and if you think that shit with the book is gonna last, it's not. Because when this shit goes to court, I'm going to have every copy ripped off the shelves. And I'm not only going to sue you, I'm going to sue the publisher and the book company for allowing that garbage without verifying with me that I am who the fuck I say I am. And trust me, I heard you read some of the shit. Matter of fact, I actually ended up going online and stealing some digital copies for myself. I have the whole original manuscript of every single book. And I can tell you right now that it's full of fucking bullshit. I skimmed through all 5 books, and it's fucking trash. It's garbage that you put out to try to make me look like a fucking bad guy. I mean, do you really think that when it comes down to court, you're really gonna get away with this? Because you're not. I mean, dude, like, you're literally just spewing out fucking lie after lie after lie. And I know why you're doing it. Because you're getting scared. And honestly, you should be scared, John. You committed a lot of fucking federal crimes, my guy. As of right now, you've committed at least 5 different federal crimes by releasing that book, if not more.
Now, I don't exactly know what this book he's talking about is, but there are apparently 5 different books that John has written about Cyraxx. However, I do find it interesting that Cyraxx is upset about these books that he claims that he reads. But then at the same time, he also talks about how he doesn't care about what anybody says or think about him. You hear him talk about that all the time. If you watch Cyraxx, you know what I'm talking about. However, Chance, I don't think John is going to take down the books just because you told him to and that you threatened to sue him and the book company and the publishers. Chance, dude, you don't have any lawyers and you admitted that several different times, so I don't understand why you keep doing the same song and dance. You talked about the Nintendo lawyers a few weeks ago, last month, and nothing has happened yet with that, so I doubt anything will happen with this either.
Hey Nova, got a question for you.
Hey, of course. Go ahead and ask away. What's on your mind?
If someone releases a book under my name without my permission to look like I wrote it, and does everything without my knowledge or command. And with those crimes, what would the punishments be?
That's definitely a serious situation. Usually it would involve things like identity theft, copyright infringement, and potentially fraud. For example, identity theft can lead to criminal charges and hefty fines, and copyright infringement can involve civil lawsuits and monetary penalties. The exact penalties would depend on the specifics, like the scale of the fraud and the number of books. Generally,
there's 5 different books.
Right, with multiple books, it definitely compounds the situation. Each book could be considered a separate instance of infringement or identity theft, so the penalties could multiply. For identity theft, it could lead to fines, restitution, and potentially prison time, especially if it's done on a large scale. Copyright infringement could also lead to significant monetary damages and possible criminal charges if the infringement is willful. It can get pretty complex, so it's definitely something that would need legal attention.
So say the person released 5 books pretending to be me and telling my story without my knowledge or my consent at all whatsoever, and is claiming that they paid me when they in fact did not. And they went through a publisher to commit these crimes. What would the charges be, and how much time would they get?
You just gotta love how he's bringing up this AI like it's an actual threat. Like this AI is a lawyer or a judge or somebody in power, when it's just an AI, Chance. It's gonna feed you information that you want to hear, and plus you don't copyright anything. You've never copyrighted a single thing, so you can't even apply that to this instance. And then on top of that, the AI straight up told you that this is a very complex subject and it would require legal action. By talking to the AI, that is not legal action. That is you just talking with the AI. And just like, you gotta love how he looks throughout this entire video. He's so smug, he acts like he's won, and it's just foul play on Cyraxx's part.
Say the person did this in a means to slander my name and ruin my reputation by stating things in the book that are not true at all whatsoever. What would the charges then be for that?
In that case, defamation would definitely come into play. Defamation is when someone makes false statements that harm a reputation. That could lead to civil lawsuits where you could seek damages for the harm caused. Additionally, if the defamation is particularly malicious or involves things like false accusations of criminal behavior, it could potentially escalate to more severe charges. There could also be potential charges for harassment or intentional infliction of emotional distress, depending on the nature of the content in the books. In terms of punishment, defamation generally results in monetary damages in a civil court, but if there's a criminal element like fraud or harassment, then it could also lead to criminal charges and possible jail time. It really depends on how severe and how intentional the actions were.
Down in Miami, Florida, how many years would somebody be facing for all of those things combined for 5 separate books?
In Florida, the penalties can definitely add up. For identity theft, each offense can carry up to 15 years in prison, depending on the amount of financial loss and the specifics of the case. For copyright infringement and fraud, those can also carry significant prison time and fines, often up to 5 or 10 years per offense, especially if it's willful and for profit. Defamation and harassment, if they escalate to criminal levels, could also lead to additional charges, but typically defamation is handled more in civil court. Given that there are 5 separate books, each instance could potentially be charged separately, so it could really add up. In a worst case scenario, the person could be looking at multiple decades in prison if all the charges are stacked and proven. Of course, the exact outcome would depend on the details, the evidence, and how the court...
How many years exactly would they be looking at in total for all 5? If they were charged and convicted, how many years would that be in total for each crime?
It's definitely a complex calculation, but let's break it down a bit. For identity theft, if each book resulted in a separate charge and each charge could carry up to 15 years, then 5 separate instances could potentially add up to 75 years just from identity theft alone. For copyright infringement and fraud, if each book also carried up to, say, 10 years per offense, that could add another 50 years total for all 5 books. If we consider defamation and harassment, those might be more difficult to quantify since they're often handled in civil court. But if there are criminal elements, that could add a few more years. So if we sum it up roughly, you could be looking at potentially over 100 years of combined prison time if all charges were stacked consecutively and all proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Of course,
Cyraxx is really trying to squeeze everything out of this AI, and the AI can't really do anything about this. It's trying to explain everything in a very broad way. It's using generalist terms that don't really apply to court. And the AI seems to be aware of it because it keeps on saying that this is like a complex subject. It would have to be handled in court. It's a case-by-case basis. It depends on the elements, like the criminal elements. What exactly is he going to be prosecuted on? And stuff like that. I don't even think he knows that there are multiple types of courts out there and that you can't just prosecute somebody whenever you want. And plus, it's strange that Cyraxx is not trying to prosecute him on the Shadow Kai brand or anything else because, you know, he was obsessed with Shadow Kai and John and William were trying to take that away from him. And yes, I'm still talking about Shadow Kai. Cyraxx isn't, but I sure as hell am because I'm a mega Shadow Kai fan. And you know, I'm waiting for my Shadow Kai toys and video games to be coming out soon, but I don't think I'm going to be getting that because Cyraxx is just not going to make it happen. And it's all because he's not willing to get the lawyers to sue John. I just can't believe it.
So, long story short, John, you're going to be spending the rest of your life in prison, buddy. Like I said, boy, I know where you're at, son. You're down in Miami, Florida, and guess what? They don't play those games down there, son. They do not play those games down there, dude. You are literally looking at several decades in prison. And as for William, you're looking at least 5 to 10 and possibly 15 years. So, there's that. Have fun spending the rest of your life in prison. You're the one that's ruining your life. Not me, not nobody else, boy. See, your problem is this. You think that you're going to get away with this shit, but you're not. Because, you dug your own grave, buddy. You dug your own fucking grave. Have fun spending the rest of your life in prison behind bars. You may as well enjoy what little time you have left with your friends and loved ones. Because like I told you, and nobody did this to anybody else but you. You did this to yourself. I didn't do anything to you. You brought all this on yourself. So as of right now, you're looking at basically the rest of your life behind bars. I'm going to be out here living my life, being a free man, and getting my life back. So John, all I have to say to you is this. You better spend what little time you have left with your loved ones. Because once this shit goes to court and you get prosecuted and charged, you will not see the light of day ever again. And I will make damn sure that the prosecutor pushes to have you charged for all 5 separate incidences on top of everything else that you've done to me.
Now, whenever Cyraxx says that he's gonna sue and take him to court for everything he's done to him, that means everything that has ever happened to Chance. That includes everything that Marty's done, Willem Gloryhole's done, Southern Harlot's done, all these different trolls that are in Cyraxx's life has done, is gonna be pushed on the John's responsibility. Like, John's gonna be held accountable for all of the things that they have done, because Cyraxx has a tendency to do that. Like, he holds William Gloryhole to things that Marty did. Like, he blames things that Marty did way back when on William. Like, he even says some of the same lingo sometimes. For example, Cyraxx blames the ice bullet incident where someone supposedly shot through his window on William whenever he was blaming Marty whenever it happened. He was saying that Marty's the one who hired somebody to try and take Cyraxx out. But now I'm pretty sure he says that William's the cause of all that, including the Xbox. He also believes that William broke all of the Xboxes and stopped him from getting a racing rig. Like, I think Cyraxx makes these claims and blames other people and accuses people of doing things to him, even when they didn't, just to try and get something. Regardless of whatever he thinks he's gonna prosecute John with, it's just not gonna happen. These books aren't going anywhere if they exist anyway. You know, a lot of stuff is fabricated for Cyraxx and fed to him on a silver platter. But I digress. Speaking of things Cyraxx is being fed right now, he's being given some kind of super crazy information about John, and I have no idea what this might be. Maybe it's John's secret penny collection. I don't know, but let's get into it.
You're probably wondering why I'm making this video, right? You're probably wondering why am I live when there's all this evidence against me and blah 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 and yada yada yada, whoop-de fucking do, right? You're probably wondering that, right? I've been noticing in the background what you guys been doing. Especially you, John and William. I know what y'all have been doing in the background. I know exactly what you guys have been doing, and let me tell y'all right now, y'all ain't phasing me. Like, y'all think you're doing something grand, like you're gonna drag me down with you, right? Not a chance in hell, buddy boy. See, all you're doing right now, which is why I'm so relaxed, you guys are just creating your own fucking downfall, dude. I mean, literally, that's all you're doing is creating your own downfall. And am I worried? Not one bit. You wanna know why I'm not worried one single bit? Let me tell you why. Because in the long run, you guys will just be piling on more evidence against you. That ain't evidence against me that y'all are posting. That's evidence against yourselves. And all I gotta say is this, William and John. I have information that you guys don't want to have put out there. So good luck. Unless you want that info released, you better back off.
And that was the super secret information that he's hinting at. You know, he's not gonna reveal it yet because he wants to play with his prey, supposedly. It's just a weird thing that Cyraxx does where he pretends to know something that it's either A, something that's public and everybody has access to, or B, it's something completely made up and it's just fed to him and he believes it. That has happened also. Though he hasn't said anything since this video. He hasn't really revealed anything that was secretive or that might be damning against John in a big crazy way. Like, he accuses John of a lot of stuff, but it's nothing outlandish. You know, it's the same old, I'm gonna sue you, you're defaming me, you're destroying my reputation. You know, that's a usual thing Cyraxx talks about. And he doesn't mention anything else about something that John has or hasn't done.
You enjoying life there, William? Because you should be with what little time you have left. I saw your little post, William. And all I have to say to you smart guy is this. You better enjoy the time you got left. Because it's not going to be long before you end up in prison. Probably for the rest of your life. And you want to know why you're going to end up in prison? Because that little organization that you're funding out in Europe, I know what it's all about. Because, William, you seem to forget that I have eyes and ears all over the world. And I know what you're doing. You're basically funding a criminal empire to take advantage of people like me. Do you really think that those 100 extra people are going to save you from being prosecuted and facing serious charges? They're not. Ain't nobody gonna save you, William. So, I mean, the best thing I can say to you, William, if you want to avoid prison, I'd stay out of the States if I were you. Because the minute you come back, you're fucked. And I mean all the way fucked. Not that hiding in Germany will help you, because we're good friends with Germany over here in the States. Or did you forget that?
So Cyraxx earlier this week was also under the belief that William Gloryhole was over in Germany for a fundraiser, in which he's gonna go on this whole tangent about how William is not safe in Germany, that he's trying to hide out in Germany with Inward Boy, and that everything's gonna be rained on his parade, that William's gonna be arrested, he's gonna be taken back to the United States. And I just love how Cyraxx has said that he's got eyes and ears everywhere, and that he knows where William's at, and he knows everything about William, but then he's not willing to post or talk about who William is. You know that if Cyraxx had William's docs, he would be saying it constantly. I mean, that's what he did with Marty for a little bit, and he kept on doxing Marty whenever he had the chance, and he would do the same thing with William. He'd also do the exact same thing with John John, which I'm surprised he hasn't tried to figure out who John John is or even think about trying to dox these people, because Chance hates them. He's been very clear and vocal about that, but he has very little to do about it. But if he does try to dox anybody, it's just more information hand-fed to him by buddy trolls and people pretending to be his friends. Like, he'd probably that William Gloryhole's real name is Mike Ox, Mike Cox, just some stupid little name like that.
I have a legitimate lawyer that's gonna be coming after you motherfuckers. And if you don't think they are, oh, how wrong you are. Y'all can run and hide behind your little VPNs and your fake names and whatever else you want for as long as you want, because eventually, boys, the feds are going to come down on you. And me, I will be free to live my life once again without being in any kind of danger, fear, and I'll be able to start living life again.
So, with all of that out of the way, Cyraxx goes on about how John John is gonna fail with all this secret information and this lawyer that Cyraxx supposedly has, and it's just a bunch of baloney per usual. Cyraxx is making all these claims. However, he has been missing for the past few days. He hasn't posted any videos in about 4 days from my knowledge. If you know anything, post a comment down below about how Cyraxx is a butt cheek. But anyways, let me go ahead and do my shoutouts and stop being a little autistic. So I'd like to shout out Tubby Thunder 43, Jason Cruel, Jin Not Jin 2, Trixie Bella, The Loopy, Bubbles 956, David Stinky Finger, Piran Bay, Jordan Ramirez, Saggy Raggy, John Christian Cavelli, Halloween Nerd, Dreadhead David 420, Tannis Finest, Sunday Smoker, Whiskey Ping 42, Jolanda, Ghost of Lizardman, Jeff of David Clan, Okie Doll, Wild Weaver Gaming, Madam Gooseberry, Oso David Grunga, Depressed Rabbit, Brett VT, Zol Champion of First Claw, Oversoul, The Black Pearl, Edward Walden Hain, Nick Cliff, Atomic Renegade, Steve's Creepy Van, Evan Reed, Curse Decals, Lord of Worlds, TJ Bender, James, Honda Civic, Obatason, Bakano Sensei, Mochi Cakes, Matt 33s, and Dark Chocolate. Thank you guys for your support, and I'll see you in the next one, my friends.